I'm telling you right now, this one's gonna get deep. It's gonna get into some dark places. There's gonna be some hard-hitting questions I'd love to know the answers to, like,
what's inside a butthole? I always want to know. What's inside a butthole? I always want to know.
what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I am Steve Van Nant, back again. Thanks for stopping in. And how funny is that little girl? That I saw that on Instagram, okay, and it just said, my daughter made a song and why does it slap? It's only 20 seconds long. It will be stuck in your head forever. I've been laughing about it for a week. Just listen to what she says real quick.
I wonder what's inside your butthole. I wonder what's inside your butthole. Maybe there's astronauts, maybe there's aliens all inside your butthole. What's inside your butthole? I always want to know. What's inside your butthole? I always want to know. What's inside.
That is too funny. I don't know why she's wondering that, but it cracked me up. Jokes aside, this is one of the craziest videos I put together. There is some seriously deep stuff in this video. Deep thoughts, but not by Jack Handy, if you remember that SNL skit. And fellas, if you've been wondering why your ding-dong's shrinking, you will find out in this video. Or ladies, if your fella's wiener has been shrinking, you're gonna find out why in this video, and it's a reason you never would have guessed. So stay tuned. I mean, it's jam-packed. Let's roll the footage. Okay, I'm gonna keep it light to start with this video because I need to get over, I think, the 3-minute mark before it gets too crazy. But I'm telling you, this should be the nail in the coffin of this entire conversation.
This sleek 1969 moon rover comes quick, efficient, equipped with your own lawn furniture. Duct tape, optional. And don't forget your action packed Mickey Thompson sticks. In
Those tires wouldn't even pass inspection on a car.
the rear with dune buggy cups. Not to mention state-of-the-art, second to only backwoods Hibbity antennas with tennis balls. In a handy analog radar buzzer. And the always much sought-after front end with an indestructible polypropagnol design fit for a king. Umbrella inverted is extra. And 38 million in 1969.
Phew.
Today,
I don't know. It doesn't seem worth it. I don't know. In this economy, doesn't really seem worth it. I mean, it just seems so absurd. You gotta wonder what they thought technology would be like right now, back when they did this. Like, I wonder if they thought moving forward that people would be like, this is absurd, or they just didn't care. I don't know. Alex Jones, he seems to think we did go to the moon, but not for what we said, and this is all probably faked. I mean, I see that being plausible. Tell me what you think. If you've never heard of Fox Island, this is about to blow your mind. I never did, and I have uncovered the rabbit hole of all rabbit holes.
What I'm gonna talk about is the Epstein Island before the Epstein Island. And I would say the 70s. There was an island called North Fox Island, and it was purchased by a millionaire. His name is Francis Sheldon. It was a remote island. He ended up building an airstrip, so it would be easier for people to come in and get out the island faster. And then with the help of 2 other guys, he ends up building a boys camp. Puts like ads everywhere and shit like that. So basically, like, the premise of the fucking boys camp is for young boys, unprivileged boys, to come in, have a good time, learn about nature. So after that, as
Just like Jerry Sandusky.
summer camps going on for years and stuff, the boys start complaining to the parents and friends, saying how like the teachers, the counselors on the aisle taking advantage of these kids. They're telling them to go into like these cabins and like telling them, yo, like, remove all your clothes. And like, obviously cops hear about this. They make this whole plan, like, to raid the fucking island, capture everybody who's on there. But since Francis Sheldon was like a millionaire, he had like a lot of connections, he was basically tipped off before that even happened. So people basically warned him that they were gonna do this. Cops and shit like that was gonna raid. So he got rid of everything that would incriminate him, disappears, flies to in France, gets married, starts a new life, so he never has to pay for
Any of the shit he
whatever.
did.
I do want to give a little backstory about the two guys that basically helped the millionaire. So there was a guy, his name was Gerald Richards. He was like one of the main guys who helped a lot with the campus stuff. He was a gym teacher for preschoolers and stuff. When he was in college, he had a job at an adult bookstore. Him working at the adult bookstore figured out that there was a black market for CP and stuff like that.
And what he doesn't mention is they made an airstrip on the island, and this island was in I believe Lake Huron up in Michigan, and the person in charge of aviation up there was John Benet Ramsey's grandfather, and apparently he was very strict about where you could make airstrips or whatever, anything aviation wise. He was very strict about it, but he allowed these people to put an airstrip right on this island. And just like this guy said, before they got hit by the cops or whatever, feds, this guy was tipped off, flew to France, washed his hands clean, lived the life. Nothing ever came of it from him. I mean, this goes so deep. There's so much more to this story. Stumbled across this website called thehotstar.net. If you want to read some of the craziest things you ever saw and read or saw in your life, go onto this website. And the funny thing is, I accidentally put in the hotstar.com and it went to Disney. But when you go into hotstar.net, oh, it doesn't go to Disney at all. Go on there and read an article. It says chicken hawks. I don't even know if I can use that term. This is, I mean, it's some of the sickest stuff you ever hear in your life. Read some stories about Elm Guest House. You'll find it. It's the whole pizza meh thing, all this. And it's all true. It's all factual stuff. It was all, you know, the arrests were made, this, that, investigations were happening, people were in trouble, left out. I mean, you know, I'll do some more on this moving forward. Honestly, it's so insane. I almost don't know how to even talk about it without getting booked on the old YouTubes. There's a story, I'll give you a little snippet. There's a story, most of it's over in Europe. So whoever made this website is definitely in Europe somewhere. Talks about this guy that got busted in Amsterdam, and they had a bunch of lighting a loafer clubs, and they were, you know, pushing the youngins through there, and you know they got caught, you know, like, you know, or investigated at least. But the one they kept a nursery right down the street, so you could rent you know, the youths to make films, and they were charging like $5,000 for these films to elites. They made, you know, the thing you chew like some snuff, films, and it, you know, it's all documented. I'm telling you, it's some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen or read in my life. And another weird part about it, I'm reading through it. There's something about Trump in there, actually, I read. And I'm reading it, and this reads very much like Hunter S. Thompson writes, but it's current, and obviously Hunter S. Thompson, this guy, one of my favorite people ever, maybe my favorite, you know, as far as celebrities and writers. It read like he would write, and I get to the bottom, and there's a cartoon by Ron Stedman. Well, Ron Stedman did all the animations for Hunter S. Thompson, like that writing, you know, the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas writing. So whoever did this is either just a huge fan of Hunter S. Thompson, or it blew my mind. I'm telling you, go on to it, hotstar.net, and it's all type of stuff about history, stuff about just cases I've probably never heard of. I can go on about this for a long time, but just check it out.
And so we really have a TikTok problem, because again, like we've been chasing this left-right divide. It's the wrong game.
This whole video is not about chicken patties, CP, but I saw something weird here the other day that I'll share with you. Then we're going to move on to another subject, but check this out. So that's what they do for a little while. Pretty odd hanging out with, well, that lady if you're not into some pretty creepy and deep things, which makes you wonder why 50 Cent kept calling out Jay-Z during the old P. Diddler thing when it broke. And, you know, so you see that went away because, hey. But have a look at this. So apparently these three got themselves in some trouble for, you know, trying to move a youth along, and the judge said, this is frivolous, pfft, get this out of here. Boy, weird those three hanging out, huh? I never heard about that. I don't even remember how I seen it, but would you look at that? Boy, I tell you what old Johnny McAfee says here at the end, knock my tube socks straight off my feet.
Did you think Trump was going to be president?
Yes, I hoped he was, actually, because the alternative was not very palatable to me.
Did you think
I will
he...
not tell you why, because it will implicate me in horrific
Sounds like you're
situations.
asking me to inquire, but I'm not going to.
I am actually, because I'm not sure I'm going to say it or not.
Well, it
Do you
sounds like
understand?
you're egging me on to ask you. I want to respect your privacy.
I am actually, because I'm not sure I will say it. I've never
This part's kind of irrelevant, but I'm just going to leave it in for context so everything spins together.
said it ever.
Well, if you
Not
want
in,
me
not
to...
in 6 years since I left police have I ever stated why.
Do you want to?
Absolutely.
Okay, well then, you're welcome.
Okay, so when I went on the run in police, I had friends in the U.S. Embassy and police. I knew what was coming down. I'm not stupid. I had arranged with the head of security. I was going to come in. He said, sir, we have it from the highest authority. We are not to allow you entry into the U.S. Embassy. Understand me. Who was the highest authority of the State Department? Hillary Clinton. I'm an American citizen with a f***ing American passport. I'm sorry. I'm not wanted in America. I've got no crimes in America. Is it not a reason to say, I don't think I'm going to vote for you?
And yet you're here now.
For a month and a half, I was on the run. The reason that the government wanted to collect me was that after they had raided my property in 2012 in the jungle, shot my dog, abused me, destroyed $500,000 worth of my property over a bogus charge, I was pissed off. And so I donated to many secretaries within the government laptop computers, really nice ones, that were preloaded with viral spyware. Within a week, the entire government computer system was under my control. I was watching, monitoring, listening. I was looking for information that they had set me up for that raid. I didn't find that. I did find out that the Minister of National Defense was the largest drug trafficker in all of Central America. The Minister of Immigration, the largest human trafficker.
We don't want to get killed by them either, so we're probably not going to
That's
share
fine.
that.
That's fine.
He gave the government laptops so he could spy on them. Is that not one of the funniest things you ever heard? I mean, he probably found so many other things, and he's like, meh, you know, I don't want to get... So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut about that. I'm looking for one thing specific. But he did go ahead and throw, you know, some other people under the bus. And realistically, is anybody surprised by any of this? I know I'm certainly not. Funny thing, I've been trying to promote or upload this shirt to Teespring, and obviously it's true, it happened, you know, it's what, Operation Iran-Contra or whatever. The CIA was caught bringing cocaine in, but Teespring says, no, you cannot promote anything that promotes illegal activities. So what you're telling me is, you know, an entity in the American government or an institution in the American government can do it, just don't get caught, really, you know, or they'll be like, hey, don't do that, and pretend to care, but everybody knew, I'm sure. But don't you dare be trying to wear a shirt that says anything about it. R.I.P. Johnny McAfee. Okay, as advertised, let's find out why everybody is all of a sudden having little ding-dongs, even though I didn't even know that was a thing, because I don't really pay attention to other people's... Well, you know what. Why does she look like that? Hold up, she looked like...
Well, guess, Mom. How you doing over there?
I'm just playing, she's lovely.
Phthalates are making your penis small.
Yes.
What are phthalates?
So phthalates are these synthetic compounds found in fragrances. And this is like when I get in an Uber. There's a black ice tree on the rearview mirror and you're smelling it, right? And you're thinking, oh, this is gross. I roll down the window and you get out of the Uber and you still smell like black ice, right? Those are phthalates. They're sticky. They carry fragrance. Every time you walk into a room and you see those Glade plugins in the corner, it's putting phthalates into the air. So these compounds, they're in perfumes, not all perfumes, but some of them are worse than others. They're in lotions. But these are clearly endocrine disruptors. This word xenoestrogen is the fancy word for endocrine disruptors. They mimic estrogen in both men and women, and then they accumulate in women's bodies. So the pathway is probably that women are exposed to these, and if they're carrying a male fetus, then it affects the male during gestation, and it leads to shrinking of the distance between the butthole and the end of the testicles, which is the anogenital distance, which is an indication of feminization of males, and then shrinking of the penises.
Phthalates are turning the frogs gay, and kids are shrinking your taints. Pine tree air freshener is shrinking your wiener. I'm not gonna lie, I've had Pine Tree air fresheners in my car ever since I could have a car. Almost 16 years old, as a matter of fact. I think it was like the week before. Pine Tree air fresheners. We ain't gonna get into details and talk about this too much. It's a little personal, but it's just a little note moving forward. All these fancy colognes, all these fancy perfumes, ladies, if you're getting knocked up by a little wiener that had a palm tree in his car, well, you might not want to be using the perfumes. Oh, some of you might, because it's so trendy. I mean, you might get yourself a trans kid if you're lucky. You know, you could be rubbing that Pine Tree perfume all over your butthole. Get yourself a trans kid. He'd be in schools like, look at me, my trans kid, because it's so super trendy. Here in a couple years, though, it's gonna be some grim realities coming down that pike, and they already are. But that said, I mean, geez Louise, who would have thunk it? So get your air fresheners out the house, get your perfumes off, get your damn Pine Tree air fresheners out the car, or put them all in, because it's almost June, baby, and you know what that means.
What's inside your butthole? I always want to know.
If something comes out of nowhere and is suddenly everywhere, someone's pressed another button on the next stage of the plan. You set out to confuse perception, set out to confuse the perception of gender among the young. So if you want to confuse a little kid on gender, what better way than a bloke with a beard with a dress on, right? A drag queen. What better way of doing it? That's why they're doing it, ladies and gentlemen. It's to scramble the perception of gender because you are confusing gender. There's an agenda coming down. They're just doing what they're told to do.
I mean, shit rolls downhill. Everyone's heard that before. Shit rolls downhill. It's so painfully obvious. I don't know how anybody doesn't know it, unless you're just super, super young, and that's who they're gonna hit up. So I guess, yes, I do know. Yes, I bet it is painfully obvious. Got a couple years under your belt, you can just see every single thing. In the 90s, it was rap music. We'll keep them preoccupied with all this wild shit. Hell. And it just, the beat goes on, da-dum-da-dum-dum. Have you ever seen a movie called Dark City? If you've never seen a movie called Dark City, it came out in '98. Check this movie out. I just watched it last night for the first time. Someone put me up on it. I was like, gotta see this movie, dude. It's, you know, if you're kind of young, it's just a fun sci-fi movie. Now, if you watch it through the lens that everything's going on now, I mean, Mandela effects, underground society of weird beings, reptilian-like things, flat earth a little bit. I mean, it's the manipulation of society. Oh, I'm watching this movie, and it's a little Matrix-like, Truman Show-like. It's got a blend of shit in it, and I'm just watching this shit like, oh, that's probably like kind of true. And I'm a psycho for thinking that. And it certainly doesn't help that you got old Bobby Lazar coming out the woodwork saying things like this.
Yeah, the only hardcore thing is that there is a extremely classified document dealing with religion, and it's about that thick. period. But why would there be any classified material dealing with religion?
I want to go back to the religion thing. I want you to say it.
It's so far out.
All right, your objection has been noted.
Okay.
What does it say?
That we're containers. That's how supposedly the aliens look at us. That we are nothing but containers.
Containers of?
Containers.
Containers.
Maybe containers of souls. You can come up with whatever theory you want, but we're containers. And that's how we're mentioned in the documents. That religion was specifically created so we have some rules and regulations for the sole purpose of not damaging the containers.
Well, makes sense to me. I think I played it on here before, but I mean, we're just containers. That would make so much sense. And the amount of movies that they've made about things like that, you know, and if you think they're making movies that borderline on things they know, which it certainly seems that way, then there you go. I don't know what they're doing now because I'm convinced they are done with us. The people controlling the world, they are done with us. I'm sure they have enough technology as far as AI and any kind of, you know, robots and this, that they could maintain a society of, I don't know, 1 million people worldwide. Let's say it is a globe. Let's just say for argument's sake, they don't need everybody. If they got, you know, enough technology, enough robots, enough this, they're probably like, pfft. I think that's why they're just letting the world, this country, everything just go to, they're just done. Like, let them weed themselves out. We'll sit back and laugh because they don't care. They don't care. They don't have to be involved in it. They don't have to see it. They get to sit in their ivory tower, wherever that may be, which, you know, would be interesting. Put a tracking device on some of these politicians. You know what? You represent the people. No one trusts you. No one trusts you. I want, like, hourly updates for like a certain amount of time, or like where do you go? Hillary Clinton. Can we track Hillary Clinton? Like, you're not in trouble. You're a great woman and everybody knows that. But we just want to track you for this stuff. I want to say a week because let's be reasonable, but she could probably just chill for a week. Not like a month, like a year. Where do you go? In some underground lair with demons and reptilians and vampires and drink stem cells, fetuses, and drink adrenochrome? Obviously, that's what she does. Speaking of super scary shit, check this out. This is apparently actually real. If you haven't seen this. Dude, 25-foot... I don't know. They're calling it the Point Blair Giant, and it looks scary as shit. If that's actually a 25-foot crocodile, luckily it's over in India. So, well, assuming you're not in India, you don't have to worry about that unless you're going to India, which if I were you, I wouldn't do either. So, there's that. Moving on. And now a clip from a lady that's even scarier than that 25-foot crocodile, based on what she says right here.
This is worth it. We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And you know, is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
What kind of person, psychopath, could just say that? And this is a hard choice. Oh, is it? I hope it's at least a hard choice to go ahead and be okay with 500,000 people, innocent civilians, children, being wiped off the face of the planet for nothing. I don't want to have all this stuff in there. I'm not going to even say the words because it has nothing to do with that. This is from 91, the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait, yada, yada, yada. How would you sleep at night? Just being like, yeah, like you have to know something more sinister, or somehow you're just wired to just not give a shit. Like, I think I could probably take somebody out and be like, okay with it. That's probably a pretty wild thing to say. But like, if you like did some terrible shit, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I'd really care. But a bunch of innocent kids? No. And the thing about it is, she's not the only person that thinks like that. all your politicians. That's Madeleine Albright. She's passed on. She's not even from the United States. She's from, I forget, some fuck shit place like Czechoslovakia or Slovenia, something like that. Came over here. I don't even know what her position was. Secretary of State, as a matter of fact. Madeleine Albright. Well, she was Secretary of State. Back then, I guess, was George Bush Sr. And, you know, he was also a psychopath. The whole Bush family, cartel. And I mean, it's just so crazy to think that that's like, that's what these people do. Just like, yeah. All right, we're at to wipe out probably like 1 million people. We'll make some money, probably, you know, move some shit around. All right, fuck it.
We don't care. Let me tell you something. We don't care.
And if they did care, this wouldn't be happening.
All right, America, if this doesn't wake you up, I don't know what will, because Dr. Phil is now exposing this right in front of your face. China has purchased almost 400,000 acres of land, and not just any land that's primarily around military bases, y'all. You know why? Remember long ago when they talked about selling the United States to China? Yeah, check this out, y'all.
Strategically buying land around that. This is not random. They're in the same county. They're right up against this. How is this happening, Kyle? You're the expert here.
There's one down in Texas that right there on the border near Del Rio.
Right.
Where it's actually a Chinese general, General Sun, came in and bought over 100 square miles of land between our most active Air Force training base and our border. And he filed permits to put up windmills. It's an area on a scale of 1 to 10 that might have a wind factor of 3.5. If you and I were putting up a windmill, we'd put it up where it's an 8 or a 10, where there's some wind.
Right.
They want to put up windmills for 2 reasons. They want to connect directly to the U.S. grid so that they can upload malware to the grid and they can monitor the grid. And they also want to build these windmills 700 feet tall. Imagine a windmill that's almost as tall as the Washington Monument. And they can put cameras up there that map the horizon, and they can map the horizon with 1 square inch of clarity right next to our largest Air Force military training base. Every Air Force pilot trains at Laughlin Air Force Base. They can map every person, every plane, every hypersonic that glides by. What it has to do is go through a process called CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S., which the U.S. Treasury is in charge of. And DOD is a piece of it. There are all these different departments that are part of CFIUS, but the U.S. Treasury runs it. Here's the problem. The U.S. Treasury is owned by Wall Street. And Wall Street can't wait to invest another dollar in the land of 1.3 billion people of puppy dogs and rainbows and make some more money in China. So whenever anything really comes down to it, if Treasury's in charge, we're in real trouble. And so all of these deals that you're showing here, many of them have just walked through CFIUS. So that's the problem.
So thus far, this is the land that China has purchased, and they plan purchasing a lot more, you guys. So
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but these states better watch out. Y'all see that, right? And Texas in the red. No wonder why there has been a lot of things happening in Texas lately, y'all. It's red. But what do you guys think about this video, y'all? I told you.
What I think about that is it was crazy, and we all better get to Montana because they haven't bought anything here yet. Maybe we could just build a wall and be like, we ain't dealing with this. But I mean, like, what's the purpose of this? Now you got to wonder also, is that all just fear tactics? And that's all staged, and all those people are just whatever. Actors, crisis actors. It's like, you know, just keep them scared. Keep the people scared, you know. The Chinese are coming, just like the redcoats did. I don't know. I don't know the answers. If you live by there, some Texas folks, if you live down by there and you can confirm that the Chinese are buying up land right by these Air Force bases, please fill us in down in the comments. Now, what would be really crazy if Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer here, could answer all of our questions by this statement right here.
I have what's called a dead man trigger, which means something happens to me. There's information I'm holding that will hit the internet, and it'd be the end of this group. I'm actually better off alive than dead for them, because being alive, they can just marginalize me, defame me, call me names, blacklist me from media. How do you figure we have a free market economy if the most important technologies and scientific discoveries of the last 100 years have been kept off the market ruthlessly? Some inventor invents some really cool energy generation device, and they're offered, here's $20 million by a corporate entity. The corporation buys it, puts it on a shelf, they've gotten rights to it, and it's never released. But that happens all the time with these technologies. You'll see all the different strategies that have been used over the last 100 years to hoover up, like a vacuum cleaner, all these science and technologies. Given that level of corruption, how can anyone claim that we have a truly free market economy if we're all slaves to oil?
I've been saying it. They gatekeep everything. They're keeping us in the dark about everything. I don't want anything happen to Dr. Stephen Greer, but boy, I wonder what he does know. And he said they would go under, or what he said exactly, but he knows something apparently, and hopefully he can answer all the questions. Like,
what's inside a butthole? I always want to know. What's inside a butthole? I always want to know.
Hey, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.